Welcome everybody to the Beatles Talk Show. We're going to look at famous Beatle facts for the date of January 17th, all through the years. And I noticed you got this cool Cavern Club shirt you're wearing today. And it's interesting because, at this time back in 1963, they were playing the Cavern Club all the time. In fact, on this date, they played there at lunchtime. And then usually they would even play a nighttime show. But on this particular day, they only played there at lunch. And then at nighttime, they played at the Majestic Ballroom in Birkenhead. And they were so popular that they had sold out in advance. And there were 500 people in line who couldn't get into the show that was sold out.
502.
502.
You and me.
Yeah. I think I was pretty young. But yeah.
We were a little young, but yeah. That's pretty amazing considering, if you go back a year earlier, there wasn't that many people there, or maybe 2 years earlier. That wasn't, to have 500 fans waiting to get in goes to show how popular they'd become. Yeah.
But, at this point, Love Me Do had already been a national minor hit, and now Please Please Me was the hot new single, and so things were taking off for them.
That's right.
And it was a year later on this date, January 17th of 1964, that the New Musical Express, enemy newspaper, magazine, announced that the Beatles had already sold 7 million records just in Great Britain alone.
Wow.
So Beatlemania had definitely taken over the past year in England.
That's almost as many albums as we sold. Not
Roughly,
quite close, though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right. Oh, and do you remember also on this exact same date in 1964, they were just starting to break through in America, but VJ Records had filed a motion at the New York Supreme Court against Capitol Records and Swan Records because they all had these little special Beatle deals, and they were wanting, an injunction so that only VJ could release Beatle records because they wanted to cash in on this new hype. And so...
Whatever happened to VJ? Because you don't hear about them anymore.
Yeah, well, it didn't last. They had a really great year in 1964, and then it kind of dwindled off. In this date, in 1968, on January 17th, John, Paul, Ringo, along with Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones, Donovan, and Cilla Black attended the release party in London for the debut album release of the band Grapefruit, Around Grapefruit. And I'm such a Beatles fan that Around Grapefruit is one of my very favorite albums of all time.
Really?
I'm actually a massive Grapefruit fan, and of course Grapefruit unfortunately didn't really hit the big time, but there's a lot of Beatle influence in the album, and it's just a great late 60s psychedelic pop band. So go check out Grapefruit, everybody.
Cool. I like oranges myself, but grapefruit's all right.
It's all good, yeah. And also on this date in 1969, I've mentioned many times, Yellow Submarine is my all-time favorite movie, and it was today that the soundtrack was released in Great Britain in 1969 on Apple Records. And that is my favorite Beatles album.
Why is it your favorite Beatles album? What's the reason?
I love the psychedelic, interesting stuff they were doing at the time, and I love the George Martin score from the movie.
It's a great, actually, I think I own 4 copies of that. VHS, Blu-ray, I even have an 8mm film somewhere of that. It's a very cool, especially the new DVD, or the new Blu-ray, because it's all been remastered. It's a pretty awesome film. Really, and I heard they're going to make a 3D Yellow Submarine, or they were planning on it anyway. But it is a great movie if you have never seen that. I've got a copy for sale if you want it.
All right, and I know one of your very favorite topics is to talk about Paul McCartney getting busted in Japan, and that happened today, January 17th, 1980. Paul was questioned for 6 hours about the possession of marijuana that they found on him.
I know.
You got any thoughts on that?
Well, I remember it. I hate to give away my age, but to me it seems like yesterday, because we all thought this is it. Paul's in jail for like 7 years was the sentence that they were going to throw at him, And I've always maintained right from day one, that who would be silly enough to bring that much pot into Japan with their really stringent laws at that time, especially, put it on top of your suitcase, knowing it's going to go through customs, right? It doesn't make any sense. And actually, I had a fan who watched the show, our show we're doing, and sent me an email, and he had some thoughts on it. Now, these aren't my thoughts, but he said, in his opinion, it was one of 2 people. He figures it was Linda who brought it in, but Paul took the rap for it. But I don't believe that because Linda was a very smart person. I don't think she would have done something like that. You know, unless she figured, well, being Paul's a Beatle, maybe they'll just let it go. The other one was, well, he suggested that Yoko's relative worked for the police and that she tipped him off about the pot. Again, is it true? Probably not. And I don't want to believe that because I like Yoko Ono. You know, and so do you. I mean, I can't believe that that's fact either. So what the real story is, I guess only Paul and the band knows. Somebody could have planted it. I mean, if you have an 11 concert tour sold out, we're talking millions and millions of dollars. And all of a sudden it gets canceled. I mean, would you do something like that? Would you take a chance by bringing pot into the country? I wouldn't, personally.
Right.
So I don't think Paul did it. And I don't know who did it. You know, maybe it was before they left England. It could have been someone that planted it. Who knows? Lord only knows. But that's my take. But it was sad, man. I mean, it was, you know, I mean, it was 1980. It's a long time ago for anybody who was born after, obviously. But I mean, it was sad because he was planning on doing the Asian tour. Then, when he was done that, there was talk of him coming back to North America, the first time since the 1975-76 World Tour, right? Mm-hmm. So that would have been great. And John Lennon was planning on coming here as well in 1981. So, I mean, we would have had like a major Beatle event happening here in North America. So when all that happened and he was caught or taken into custody and thrown into jail, and it wasn't 7 years. I mean, I think it was, I forget, it was 11 days or something, and after that they let him loose, but they booted him out of the country. And of course Wings broke up after that, which was sad for me because I've always been a Wings fan. I love Wings. There isn't one Wings album I do not like, you know. So even Wildlife is one of my favorite albums. So I mean, it's just it was a sad time for sure, you know. I mean, that's the last one I talk about it, you know. But I don't think Paul did it personally, you know. There's no way.
Speaking of controversies, also in the 80s, on this exact date, January 17th, 1987, a TV program called The Music Box announced that 70 pornographic photos of Paul and Linda had been stolen from them.
Wow.
So I don't know much about those pictures, but...
I've never heard of that, to be honest with you.
It's amazing. So maybe Paul and Linda aren't those nice, clean-cut people you think. I don't know. They get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, but that's just because they're in the spotlight all the time. I mean, you probably go down the street here and there's know couples that do that all the time. I don't know. I'm a pretty boring person, but I mean, I'm sure there are other people that do that, you know. So.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, there you go. A little bit of controversy and some interesting events from January 17th. I'd like to thank you for watching. Leave us some comments.
So my dear friends, come back when you can.